There's a lot of seen faces, but there's a lot of new faces too. So probably we could go through the personal introduction because there's a lot of first timers here. So we could go quickly through the agenda. So we could start with personal introductions. Then I prepare some sort of speech or discussion about last year in the Bitcoin world, and then we could go through a report of Coindesk report of 2014, and just share the opinions and vision of what is going on in the Bitcoin world, what was last year, and what will be this year, what are the forecasts and other stuff. So, and yeah, I'd like to actively to involve in the discussion regarding this report. And then second part, I would like to have a brainstorm about Bitcoin education curriculum because last week we received an invitation from Estonian cryptocurrency association about involvement in one European Interreg project regarding Bitcoin education program for Baltics, let's say. So that's why we're starting to build this team together and looking for these things, what really needs society to learn about Bitcoins and how we could build this curriculum. So probably I would like to hear from you what we really need to include in such a program. Then we have announcements, so everybody could speak out about your Bitcoin project or I don't know, job offer or something like that. Then I get a summary. So we could start from introduction. So briefly, very informally. So who am I? What I'm doing, and what is my Bitcoin experience? Just to tell other about your level of knowledge. Are you a user, developer, miner, or different sort of Bitcoiner? So probably we should start with here.
When English terrible, so myself.
Yeah.
My name is Volmars. Who am I? I'm a student who goes to Riga's high school.
Okay.
I'm making ZBED about Bitcoin.
Oh. So you're doing some kind of marketing research.
Yeah. Something like that. My Bitcoin experience in 2013, me and my dad bought Bitcoin. No, we are Bitcoin users in exchange. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's how.
Okay. What did you?
My name is Krishna. I work in software development and project manager. And my Bitcoin experience, I own some Bitcoin. I bought them because I was very interested in technology, and we have used it for some charity donations, supporting some software projects.
Are you buying some goods for Bitcoins?
No, just
Okay.
give it away for somebody who works on software.
Okay.
And yeah.
You should just finish yours.
Yeah, I also participated in online course introduction to digital currencies.
Coursera or?
No, it's University of Nicosia in Cyprus.
It's online somewhere available.
Yeah, I recently finished it, so I can finish it.
It's free of charges.
Yeah, that was free of charge.
Because it's Estonian cryptocurrency, also cryptocurrency association would like to have this Nicosia University as one of the partners in this project to build this curriculum. So that's probably I need to learn what I did and what that curriculum looked like. Okay. But did you find it's valuable? This course it's for beginners or it's for advanced users or?
Yeah, it's for beginners.
Okay. Okay.
My name is Johannes. I work at a company Depo DIY. I am IT consultant. So this is a biggest building material and household goods retail chain in Latvia. I became part of Bitcoin community last summer when I bought my first Bitcoin miner. I have bought another miner since, but as you all know, mining is not that profitably anymore, but you still can make some money with it. We and my colleagues have some other miners ordered, but we haven't received them yet. There has been a little bit problem with this company and delay. Maybe you know this company Hasher. Maybe not. They do crypto miners.
Yeah.
But
No,
they-
Big Furry is actually come from Latvia. The two guys who established one of the largest ASIC mining hardware companies.
So I done also a little bit of Bitcoin trading, yes. And actually that's what you have to do if you want to convert Bitcoins in cash. Yes. I use Bitstamp. I also a little bit have done a little bit trading in Cryptsy. So that's my Bitcoin experience so far. But I also thinking maybe there are some other niches where Bitcoin could be useful too.
Okay. Okay. What will you?
Yeah. Hi everybody, my name is Edgar. I'm not involved in Bitcoin in my everyday life, but first time I got familiar with it was like a year ago. It was the big altcoin mining boom. I also started doing that. It was profitable for like half a year. And I stopped that. I've been trading a little, but now that it's very unstable, I'm just standing by and looking at it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
My name is Zana. I'm his sister. I don't have experience with Bitcoins, but I want to listen.
Okay.
My name is Arthurs, and I'm not related to IT or similar fields in my daily life. I'm just managing a small production company. Then Bitcoin grabbed my attention for really 2 months ago. I heard 2 years ago maybe for the first time about it, but didn't grab my attention for real. And now I just started to explore and spending more and more of my free time to read, to gain knowledge. And actually just last week did my first purchase at Spot Cafe with Bitcoin on a smartphone. So just download the wallet and went straight away to that place to have an experience. And
So
doing a bit of training, but like I said, I'm just
you bought beer.
no, not really. Grapefruit juice.
Okay.
Wasn't the weekend, so.
Okay. By the way, the owner of Spot Cafe also registered to the event, Jan Kushik, but I don't see him now, so probably if he will appear here later, we could network with him and how he's doing. Okay. So look what
My name is Armand. I'm working as a graphic designer. I'm a long-term holder. I bought few coins. I have an account on Bitstamp. I've done some trading because downtrend to get some profits. Not to lose so much because I invested last year and it costs 800.
Okay.
You know, like minimal loss. I use this moment when the cost is so low and only
Start mining.
what money?
Mining, yeah.
No.
It's difficult because draft first time in whole Bitcoin history, the difficulty is down, I think, a little bit at least. So it's good experience, good time to start mining. If you have a couple of ASICs, of course. Okay, so what do you do?
Hello, I am Alexis. I'm a statistician. I work for the government. And my Bitcoin experience is limited to a few articles in the media.
Okay.
My name is Reins. I'm a last year student in SSC Riga, and I'm doing my bachelor's thesis on the determinants of Bitcoin. So I'm a bit more interested on the financial side of it and how it interacts with other markets and such. But otherwise, I've done a little bit of trading of it, but not recently because the price is going down.
The price drop actually is.
It just seems that people are losing belief in currency.
Yeah.
It seems a bit shady.
There is a slight drop of tension from society parts of Bitcoin, but I hope it's not for a long time. Okay.
My name is Jan. I work with finance, primarily trading and investing, but I'm also very interested in economics and in technology. So obviously, Bitcoin is one of the most interesting things happening at the moment. I also write a little bit about it on my blog. It's jpja.net. If anyone, you can just ask me afterwards for that if you're interested.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I also I'm interested in Bitcoin, mostly researcher point of view. But currently, I'm working in lab for financial analysis.
I'm Andres. I have a company called Darklet, which is my own development company. However, one of the directions is like electronic documents, electronic signatures for companies, and here electronic currencies, especially unregulated cryptocurrencies, fits in very nicely. I personally have a very liquid experience here, although I did some landmark testing a few years ago. I still think it has a good perspective.
Okay, last round.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pedres. I work as an analyst. I don't have any relevant experience in Bitcoin. I don't use it. I read about it and I've been following for the past few years. I'm just more interested in sort of the financial applications of Bitcoin and how to better integrate it with today's markets.
My name is Thomas. I'm a consultant, and I don't have any Bitcoin yet, and I don't have dates. I have no dates, but I'm interested more in how to on how to use Bitcoin, what you can buy. I don't know, as financial instruments. This is very interesting. I want to explore opportunities to start.
You were last.
Yeah, my name is Sudis, and I have no experience basically.
Okay.
I just opened a wallet recently.
You also came late.
Yep. My name is Oskars. I'm data protection officer, and lawyer, and I don't have actually Bitcoin experience, but I see the great future for it. So here.
Okay. And last but not least, pāris vārds par sevi.
Yeah, it was almost. Hi, my name is Boost. I've been involved in Bitcoin since I think 2011. I see this new technology. I'm basically very passionate about this technology, and I also do some local Bitcoin trading on the side. Basically, I follow the news and I'm generally interested in.
And you're mining Bitcoins?
I was mining
Yeah,
Bitcoins, not anymore. I was mining Bitcoins earlier. I had to outdated ASIC units from Butterfly Labs, the jalapenos. But well, basically they wouldn't pay for themselves to keep them running anymore. They would just earn too little to pay for whatever electricity costs.
But difficulty now dropped in.
Yeah, but well, basically maybe they were profitable about a year ago,
Okay.
year and a half. So even with the recent difficulty drop, it's still not really financially good decision to mine with them anything.
Okay, so since a lot of you first timers here, probably in short words, I need to tell what is going on with Bitcoins in Latvia, what is the legal status and other stuff. Because all 7 previous meetups we had before, we talked about all kinds of things, share knowledge and experience, and as far as I know, there's a couple of integration in commerce. Bitcoin's largest known probably is AirBaltic. They are accepting Bitcoins. I don't know, does anybody have some kind of real life practice to buying Bitcoins from those tickets from AirBaltic?
Yeah, I did it. It was very easy. It was this is third-party service. So basically, Coinbase. Yeah. So it was basically at the last part of checking where you choose like bank transfer or Visa card or Bitcoin. So I just click on Bitcoin and the transfer, 1 second, it went through. Very easy.
Okay, some positive experience. Yes, okay, so second part, second place where Bitcoin is integrated is Spot Cafe. It's a small cafe in Volta Batrik, and Artyom Koshik is one of the founders of Cafe, and he told that they just seamlessly integrated from Coinbase. And they are receiving the cash in euros. They even don't have some sort of bitcoins in bookkeeping and other stuff. And for state revenue services, they're reporting only in euros after transaction. So, but they have pre-programmed this cash register for Bitcoin. So if you buy something for bitcoins, you will receive receipt with euros, but a small description paid by bitcoins, something like that. So it's still working. It's working in real life. So as far as I know, there's not a lot, but several Bitcoin enthusiasts, both from Latvia and also from other countries, like tourists, who's trying to pay with bitcoins and buy something with bitcoins, just for fun, something like that. And we would like to encourage every merchant or the shop holder to integrate in this way. So probably we need to make some kind of workshop for that. I don't know how to instruct. 5 easy steps how I could integrate Bitcoin in my shop, something like that in the future. So there's a couple of incentives to install Bitcoin ATM here in Latvia. I know 2 projects. I don't know what the stage for them. One is a French guy who's already bought this one-way ATM machine. I saw the pictures here in Riga, and he's going to install this Bitcoin ATM in his brother's coffee shop here in Gertrud Street. Last year we met, actually, he said that he's planning for the beginning of January to launch some sort of first ATM here, but I didn't hear from him at the moment, so I don't know what the state of this Bitcoin project, Bitcoin ATM project. And from regulation part, guys from banking regulation sectors have went to the FKTK to ask what is going on with regulation, and FKTK, long story short, they said that the Bitcoin is like Bitcoin ATM is like vending machine. So it's not regulated. So you're just vending strange things called bitcoins. And from State Revenue Service on the other side, they would like to include the VAT in all Bitcoin transactions were going through the Bitcoin ATM. So it means that the whole Bitcoin transactions is 21% higher in price. So if it's still will be this way, so probably there's no reason to install the Bitcoin ATM here in Latvia. As far as I know, in Sweden is going on this legal case against VAT application on Bitcoin. So I don't know what does anybody know what the result is now in the Swedish court? The guy who is trying to fight against the European Commission, the central banking authorities. I hope he will succeed, and it's his first case in Europe for probably what will make some sort of regulation experience from governmental body. So yeah, a few words about future events. So we're running this meetup group as a part of Latvian Technology Entrepreneurship Meetup Network. There's a couple, we altogether have 8 groups of technology entrepreneurship. So Bitcoin, for January schedule, we see the Bitcoin meetup is in last week today. Tomorrow will be drone meetup. So if you're interested about flying objects, just came here tomorrow and you will see the interesting guys coming from Airdog, from Las Vegas, CES 2015. Some last information from that. And then we have in 28th of January mobile application meetup. We're talking about iOS, Androids, and other stuff. So in February we have a CUDA meetup in the 3rd of February. Then we have 3D printing meetup in Riga Design Factory, which is part of RTU in the campus in Gypsal. Then we have biotechnology meetup, so everything about wet and IT science from biotechnology. If you're interested in that, just come around. And then we have a Find Your Co-Founder February meetup. It's some mix matching, some event for early stage ideas. So you could come here and come there and have your very rough idea and presentation in order to find out other team members. It's not for investors, it's for team building. And we have next Bitcoin meetup in 23 February. And yeah, drone and UI/UX meetups in last week. So if you're interested, just take a look at the meetup.com for last group events. So yeah, this is as I already told, we have been contacted from Estonia Cryptocurrency Association. They quite I like this idea to make some kind of non-governmental organization to promote this Bitcoin ecosystem inside governmental bodies. I don't know how they are going. I asked somebody from Estonia to come here and talk about what is going on in Estonia, in regulation, other stuff. So probably we'll have some speaker in February's meetup. And together with them, we will try to develop this education curriculum for a European project in order to find funding to create a Bitcoin education course. So yeah, the bad and good news that Bitcoin price has dropped dramatically at the end of the last year. Today, one Bitcoin is $277, but it's as you see from the last week or a couple of weeks in January, it little decrease in trend. So probably we'll see $300 per Bitcoin very soon.
It already broke 300 today, but it dropped a bit, so this is actually accurate.
right now. to
305.
$270.
Went up $60 and then dropped for 40.
Okay, so yeah. So
This
it's not-
was actually very, very funny because the price increase was I'm speculating in the light of Coinbase news that they were going to open a U.S. regulated exchange, and basically about 2 or 3 minutes after they opened the exchange, the price dropped again from 305 to 280, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Let's keep an eye on this. Featured startup. We don't have featured startup for today because I would be very happy that Latvian ecosystem will develop some sort of not consuming part of Bitcoin ecosystem, but delivering part. I really would like to see the Latvian Bitcoin startups growing up and in every sort of way. So if you have any good some information about startups or ideas going on here from Latvia, at least from now I have one large success story which is probably not well known internationally, that those guys came from Latvia. It's called Bitfari. It's the ASIC mining company, so it's established by two guys here from Latvia. And they raised also 20 million in venture capital funding recently, last year. But they are not located here in Latvia, but mostly spending their lives in the United States and other exotic places. So a few words about sponsors. So I'm representing Riga High Tech University, who's caring about technology and entrepreneurship education and organizing those meetup groups. So we get a Microsoft as a sponsor. So if you get a startup, so you can apply for Microsoft BSpark program. You could receive a bunch of free Microsoft software licenses and Microsoft Azure Cloud instance for 1 year for free. So thank you Latvia's Guarantee Agentur for financially supporting us. So thank them for food and other stuff, so we could pay for our places and speakers and other stuff. So yeah, speaker today, it's speaker of me. So I found it interesting that CoinDesk makes those state of Bitcoin reports every quarter, and it was interesting for me to find out that they're covering the whole last year. So and probably it's very long. It's over 70 slides, and I think it's very usable that people come here and we could together go through the slides because it's too long to read patiently for anybody else here in the room. So we could go through the slides and probably I'd like to, from your side, to be involved in that. Just if you see a slide and would like to comment or add something, just speak it loud. So yeah. And a few words about my experience on Bitcoin. So I'm a miner of Bitcoins and mining on GPUs. So it's very small amount, but I have mined in the last year. So, but at least for experimenting and wallets, some exchange testing, it's still more for me. And I still think that Bitcoin is going to change the financial world for coming 5-10 years, because we need some sort of new decentralized financial system, which is actually reserved today, because those banking centralized systems are not really effective in our modern life. So yeah, it's short about me. So there's content of the report. I'll skip this part. CoinDesk is a web blog probably who's writing about Bitcoins and was preparing this nice review. So yeah, summary. Bitcoin was the worst performing currency in 2014. It's a fact actually. It's I don't know how they made this conclusion for that. From the other side, all-time Bitcoin venture capital investment passed 400 millions in Q4 and exceed early stage internet investments in this dot-com boom in 1995. It's quite a good sign. So here's we could go through the key Bitcoin adoption metrics. So we have a lot of wallets, 3 billion wallets, I think, on December, at the end of the last year. 35,000 merchants all over the world. Then we have unique Bitcoin address, 108,000. All-time venture capital investments is around 100 million, which is actually 4 times more comparison to the previous year. Network hash rate, it's probably not so important. So here we can see the dramatical year of Bitcoin history in 2014. So at the beginning of the year, I remember that there's a much higher price of Bitcoin, like 1,000, something like that. So, and here we could see the most important events in 2014, like MTGOX crash in February. Then we have Satoshi Nakamoto, some kind of PR story in the beginning of the year. So I don't even know. Is this really Satoshi Nakamoto, or they found it, or just
No. Satoshi Dorian Nakamoto, some old guy. Actually, Satoshi actually used one of his known accounts to say that he is not Satoshi Dorian Nakamoto.
So this was a great PR buzz for Bitcoin. So we see around the buzz, the price went up. I know it's a small. And then Silk Road, this what is Silk Road? It's unlegal network, let's say, for marketplace, marketplace for drugs and other stuff. There's about 80 millions in bitcoins sold by US government. The guy who bought this was a venture capitalist from Silicon Valley called Tim Draper. And thanks from this purchase, his son Adam Draper now running this Bitcoin-related incubator and accelerator in Silicon Valley. So at the end of the year, Dell and PayPal announces Bitcoin partnership integration, but still we have some decline in the price at the end of the year. Microsoft adds Bitcoin payments for Xbox games and mobile content. Okay. Does anybody pay to Microsoft or Xbox with Bitcoins from you guys? No? Okay. And then we have at the end of the year, favorable revision made by the proposed New York Bit license. This is some sort of new possibility for Bitcoin to legalize its framework. It will be covered in the last slides probably. So here we could see the total exchange trading value. In comparison between 2013 and 2014, it's around 57% increase in trading volume and in bitcoins. So this is a 2014 Bitcoin venture capital investment. So altogether venture capital has invested 433 million in Bitcoin startups. This is a good reason why Bitcoin is not going to be dead. Actually, they're pushing this ecosystem further, and don't let them die very soon, I think. So one of the reasons how I could see. So yeah, totally in 2014 there's $335 million. So largest, biggest venture capital deals in 2014 is BitPay and blockchain. BitPay is a payment processor and blockchain is, what's the blockchain called?
It's an online wallet and also a block explorer. You can basically see all the transactions and blocks in real time.
Right. Yeah. BitPay is very similar to Coinbase. So,
Coinbase does other things too. BitPay is basically just for accepting payments.
Yeah. So here's we could starting call this Bitcoin dot boom. I don't know how to call it because it's it shows the early tendencies about being over invested as the same as the very early internet does in 1995. So I don't know how it evolves in this year, but yeah, some sort of similarities about internet boom and Bitcoin boom is still on the way. So here's a number of countries with Bitcoin venture capital investments. So largest countries probably is the United States, Canada, and there's a couple of seems that actively last year there's a couple of new projects in Sweden, in India, in new countries for that. So here's a trend about how investment shift towards wallets, mining, and financial services. So you could see that payment processors and mining is financial services and wallets are being invested hardly in larger volumes than in 2013. You can see by the figures here. Companies moving into new product categories. I personally don't know Xappo wallet. Does anyone do that? No. So, but at least BitPay is going from payment processor to infrastructure. I don't know what infrastructure in this case means. They expanding their footprint in Bitcoin is full check, CoinJar. I don't have any comments on that. Major positions announced in 2014. The most known probably is Coinbase and Block. Yeah, so there's a huge ecosystem in Bitcoin startups. For me, it seems that if you have some kind of Bitcoin startup, you still have a good chance to be bought by the few larger those Bitcoin companies here in alternative market space. Coinbase is one of the largest ones. So this is now also called universal Bitcoin companies, and universal companies operates across more than one aspect of the Bitcoin value chain. So here we have Coinbase, CoinPlug in 2013, and there's new players in 2014. Coinify, Ucoin, Bit. I'm actually don't use any of those. So if you could comment on that, those companies. Universal Bitcoin companies leverage two key elements of financial services efficiency and trust. Cool. So, market cap of total altcoins. Bitcoin is the first in a row. As you see, the market capitalization of, I don't even know what the figure is. It's 400 billion, something like that. Then we have Ripple. Then we have Litecoin. And other probably not so very known cryptocurrencies here. This is a report about last quarter of 2014, price and valuation. So yeah, this is probably that's we already know. And this is actually the same value graph in last quarter of 2014, when we have a couple of interesting events in Bitcoin world. So 3rd of October, Russia proposed monetary penalties for Bitcoin use and promotion. It's coincidentally some sort at the same time when the Bitcoin price has dropped more than $50. So then we have 16 October when the Bitcoin Group seeks to launch world's first Bitcoin IPO. Does anybody know about this idea? What does it mean, Bitcoin IPO?
Initial public offering that they're going to go on the stock market.
Yeah, but how are they going to do it? Technically. Good question, yeah. I need to read more about what are the idea behind that. The Boost VC is a name for Adam Dreyfus, this accelerator in Silicon Valley, who is going full Bitcoin for next startup mentor round. Yeah. They are offering not only Bitcoin for startups, but for mentors and other guys involved in such activities as mentoring and so on. So yeah, markets, other we already covered. So this is a monthly exchange trading volume increase in quarter 4. Bitcoins, it's exchange trading volume, 15 millions. Okay. State of altcoins, growth rate of no altcoins slowed in quarter 4. Okay, don't have any comments on that. Media. So largest, biggest Bitcoin story is why the hacker exploits security flaw in blockchain wallets to take 255 Bitcoins. It is already somehow the returns those Bitcoins already.
Yeah, he returned them.
He's himself. He by himself.
Yeah, well, he hacked it and
get back.
Get back them and basically told them fix their bugs. Then I don't know what they mean about overstock. Significantly misses Bitcoin sales projections. Overstock is largest some sort of goods store in the United States. So it's international actually. It's something like Amazon.
Okay.
Overstock.com.
So what they did is Bitcoins.
They were one of the first large companies to begin accepting them for purchases, and the owner of the company is also very pro Bitcoin. And I guess they had bigger goals for revenues from Bitcoins. They are actually one of, as far as I remember, they're actually one of the few large merchants who actually keep part of the Bitcoins. They, like most of them, they sell most of it through a payment processor, but I read that they actually keep a small percentage in Bitcoins without converting.
Quite risky, yeah.
Well, I think they can afford it because they are quite a huge company.
Oh yeah. So Microsoft is the next huge big story about Bitcoin accepting businesses, but they are accepting only Xbox some kind of games, or how anyway how Microsoft accept Bitcoin in real life.
They accept them online. I can't remember exactly for what services. Xbox was one, but I think also for other products. It's secured by hash power. So the more, without going into very specific technical things, if somebody were to acquire more than 50%, then, for example, if I had more than everybody else combined of hash power, I could
theoretically rewrite earlier transitions. For example, I pay my bitcoins to you and then go home and rewrite the transaction that I'm paying to myself. And if I have more than 50% of the hashing power, I can rework all the blocks that have been solved since this transaction, and the network will automatically accept the longest chain.
There's a risk of forking. It's called forking, or what can happen in case you receive more than half of your controllable hashing power. And the reason to that is that every single hashing computer or ASIC or whatever that is kind of confirming the transactions. And if you can control more than half of them, they can confirm whatever you like. So basically you can attack.
Yeah, there's
But still, it's not basically one mining pool controlling more than 50% of hashing power. It's still not. They're not actually controlling it. They're just basically just a middleman for other miners. So if they would control more than 50% and would start to take advantage of that in some unfair way, the miners are always free to leave, and they will. That's what's also what happened when they neared something like 40% or something like that.
Yeah. By the way, at the beginning of the last year, there was trouble with Ghash.io. So actually, I'm also using this mining pool in my daily life, mining different set of coins. It's automatically switched by the most valuable at that time, and yeah. But there was trouble between Bitcoin community about huge influence of this mining pool. So the guys gradually during the last year have been switched off from Ghash.io to different other pools. So the largest one is seems Discuss Fish. I never heard about it. How we call it? BTC Shine is growing, something like that. Coinbase API gaining traction with 44 Bitcoin apps, and this is actually a very interesting direction of Bitcoin economy. How Bitcoin economy is developing. So the guys are starting to write applications, and this is actually very good sign that this, because Bitcoin is not going to be used only in financial transactions. It's using this blockchain protocol. You could do a lot of things actually, starting from authorization to the London the agreement signing, something like that. And does anybody from here familiar with this Coinbase API? Does anybody coding something on that? No? Not technically? Okay. I'm actually need to check out what are the. It's also developed last year, because before that there's some kind of APIs on application writing, something like that. Bitcoin developer ecosystem continues to grow. Number of created repositories in GitHub with Bitcoin in a description. Yeah, so from 2,000K, from 2K to 4K in 1 year, it's quite a huge increase. And I think that the developers are still a very important part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, as we've seen that Ethereum case, which is actually one of the side project, but the spin-offs from Bitcoin. So I don't know how to call this project, but the whole project is developed by the developers by themselves. They form some sort of team of 18 developers from all over the world, and developed a 21 million worth product in half a year, something like that. So Ethereum is probably the first Bitcoin cryptocurrencies related to IPO, as we call it. Number of Bitcoin nodes has leveled off. Don't have any comments on that. Yeah, this is crypto projects to keep an eye on this year. The project I mentioned is Ethereum. It's alternative blockchain to the Bitcoins. It's a very promising project for me. Don't understand any deep technical details of this project, but one of the founders called Vitalik Buterin. He's quite a genius guy. I met him in Silicon Valley, and it's very making promise that the guys really discover something new, but they really don't know until now how to sell this to the broader community or society, because they're very technical oriented and they're just starting. They're just writing the prototype now in the beta stage and other stages, and the next step probably could be implementation of this Ethereum projects in the real life projects, and then society probably could follow and then catch the idea what is inside. I don't have experience with 3 other projects like GEMS, decentralized social messenger, Codius, bringing smart contracts to the market, and BitShares, allowing traders to hedge against risk management.
I invested €1 in GEMS because it has this thing called crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So everyone can invest, like 10 cents or like 1 million Bitcoin if you want. Or I don't know, the limit is ridiculously small. But the entire concept is pretty cool because it just means that there's no barrier to invest in anything anymore.
Yeah.
And they do it through, I think Coinify is another startup that's like putting, so they do it through something called Coinify.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you register your account, you just need your email address or something. Maybe you don't even need your email address. But anyway, they have like a Bitcoin address, and there you send how many Bitcoins you want to invest. And in return, you get a GEMS token also on your Bitcoin account in return.
So?
Yeah, so like anyone can now create their own startup this way.
Wow.
I know there was another called Swarm this summer, and maybe a few others as well that do it this way.
How they're doing with raising funds? How they are doing with raising funds?
Yeah, so they basically have their own Bitcoin account where they want funds, and anyone who invests, they get a token in return. The token is registered on Coinparty, and Coinparty runs on Bitcoin. So every Bitcoin address is also a Coinparty address. So it's sort of like if you have a startup, you want funds, you just make people send you Bitcoin, in return you send them your asset. That actually works just like Bitcoin, it's just a different asset.
Does it seem to be like a success story for them, or
too early to say? Too early to tell. Like for me, I had no idea whether it's a good investment or not, so that's why I just to try it out, I just send them Bitcoins worth €1, nothing more. But yeah, it's promising. The idea is very good. Whether it will be a success, I don't know.
Should they have their own wallet system?
The wallet is called Counter Wallet. The platform is called Counterparty.
It's actually very interesting. I've also been dabbling a bit in it, although I didn't quite catch their idea of their cryptocurrency, the counterparty tokens. Basically, they had some XCP, I think was the code,
yeah,
with which you could buy the assets faster. But it's actually the idea is very interesting because anybody can create their own tokens and base them on whatever you want, on nothing, or maybe promise something. Like I know one guy from Latvia, he was, I think he was giving out his ebook for these self-created tokens.
Yeah, that was me actually.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
The thing about XCP is that Counterparty itself runs on Bitcoin, so every transaction on Counterparty is a Bitcoin transaction with some data embedded into it. And XCP is something you need to use for very specific things where you cannot use Bitcoin, like escrow. It also is used to pay fees. When you issue an asset, you need to pay half an XCP fee. So that's the reason why also XCP is like another asset that sometimes is needed.
But I understood that it works also much quicker than, for example, buying the assets in Bitcoin, because I was trying out on this, buy this Swarm tokens, and well, it usually takes quite a long time because it has to go on the blockchain, the actual transaction of me buying these these assets.
I think what they're referring to is the decentralized exchange. So it's a place where you can trade any Counterparty token, everything is decentralized. So, and if you do it with XCP, it's faster, or actually it's better than if you do it with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin cannot do escrow. But anyway, that system is still flexible, because you need to wait for 10 minutes for confirmation.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so yeah, just keep an eye on those projects in 2015, they're promising. Bitcoin companies are cooperating on security across industry sectors, so we have here Bitcoin from nothing, money, other money processor, yeah, so some sort of synergies. Adopting of multi-signature, multi-sig wallet security. What is multi-signature wallet?
It's a wallet where you need several private keys to spend the funds. For example, you can create a wallet for an address for a company that maybe has 3 private keys. For example, one for the director and for 2 other people, and for example, you need 2 of those private keys to sign a transaction. And it can be any, basically, different kinds. For example, you may need 2 of 2 private keys, you may need 3 of 5, well, you can choose. So it's much safer if used, for example, Green Address uses it to give its wallet users a provable way that they won't run away with your coins, because they only have one private key, you have the other private key, and they can't steal your coins even if they wanted to.
But behind that is still a Bitcoin original wallet. So
yeah, it's a special address. It's called pay to script hash address. And it starts, I think, with the public key starts with 3 instead of 1 as usual. Well, it usually means that it's a multi-signature address. Also, pay to script hash can be other things, because it basically pays to a script, and when the script is executed, it checks for the hash. But well, let's get into technical in it.
Regulation and macro. Over 250 academic articles on Bitcoin to date, covered by many research topics. So yeah, dear scientists. Does anybody know in Latvia who is researching Bitcoins? Researching in academical kind of research way? There's a couple of guys who are writing bachelor's, some thesis or something like that, but are there any science professors in Latvia University who is working in researching Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies? No one. Okay. I'll be happy that at least we could find some one academical possession guy who is possessed about Bitcoins somehow. Unfortunately, I don't have any on my list until now. A number of countries expressed interest in regulation of Bitcoin as a commodity. So, United States commodities Futures and Trading Commission said it had oversight over Bitcoin and digital currencies because they could be defined as a commodity. Bitcoin has been classified as commodity in Finland after the Scandinavian country's central bank declared that it did not meet the definition of a currency. This is the same Latvian regulated bodies that say that they don't see Bitcoin as a currency or as a money. So yeah, it's some sort of commodity still, not defined. Grant Spencer, Deputy Governor of New Zealand's Reserve Bank, said Bitcoin behaves more like commodity than currency. Yeah, that's right. So some positive developments with the New York's bit license regulation framework. So this is a story which is actually first time to know from this report, that New York's bit license regulatory proposal widely regarded as a possible framework for other jurisdictions. Ben Lowski announced the latest revisions to be drafted in mid-December, clarified and narrowed which players in the digital currency industry would be required to obtain a bit license. They're talking about one state or New York State?
Yeah.
So, but it could be licensed as those merchants who are, because
the previous, I haven't looked at the new framework, but as it was previously, it was quite a bad idea for Bitcoin because it basically required that anybody who has any customers in New York, even if your company is based in Europe, for example, if you want to serve New York residents, then you have to comply to all these regulations, and basically they were almost stricter than for banks. You had to keep all the records for, as I said, 10 years. And
so it's related to merchants who are
merchants, exchanges, basically in the
exchanges are located in cloud.
Yeah, but still, if you want to offer. Basically, in the previous form, it would be applicable to almost anybody who did anything with bitcoins.
In the physical state of New York territory?
No, that's the thing. Even if you do it online and you want to allow New York citizens, New York residents to be your clients, then basically you had to ask from everybody all the documentation and everything. So it was actually a crazy idea, but I haven't looked at what it looks in the revised version.
Okay, yeah, let's see how they will deal with that. It's quite interesting. But some Bitcoin companies are making progress with banking relationships. Safelo, what is Safelo? Banco Provincia. Okay, I don't have any experience on that, but I know that the banking industry also got a close eye on Bitcoin community, actually, and not community, Bitcoin ecosystem, and they're looking actually how to use Bitcoin in their everyday life, and a little bit, of course, they're afraid about unregulated and prohibited operations from central regulation authority here in Europe. But still, it seems that somehow banks will need to deal with Bitcoin in the near future. So, Russian illustrative of the topsy-turvy nature of Bitcoin regulation. So, that's the story. What is going on in Russia with Bitcoins? Any ideas?
Actually, I think a few weeks ago there were some Russian Bitcoin sites actually blocked.
Russian startups seek refuge abroad under the threat of Bitcoin ban in October.
Yeah, it's not actually banned, but there have been many talks that Russia might ban Bitcoin and drafts of some laws. And I know that a few weeks ago, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, they closed several Bitcoin-related sites, well, blocked them basically.
But I think that they could use Bitcoin as alternative to ruble, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Because
as I remember that in the last few weeks, the volume of local Bitcoins transactions in Russia has risen quite a bit. So maybe there is some interest, but of course we're not in Russia, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Could be interesting developments on that part of the world called Russia, because they now are threat to be switched off from SWIFT, also the banking systems, other stuff. So they need to build something more than some sort of local system. I don't know, maybe Bitcoins. If only threads that Russia is very centralized country and Bitcoin is very decentralized, so probably it's not going to work in that way. So, well, it's yeah, I think it's a lot to look forward to for Bitcoins. VC funding is still rising, so Bitcoin economy is going to grow in this year. Security development is focused. Yeah, there's still huge problems with Bitcoin security, unlinked and other stuff. So how to leverage this anonymity with security is still the question. So, and we will see more traction in emerging markets. So I have heard stories about Africa implementation of the stuff, where they have a very undeveloped financial existence system, something like that. I don't have any ideas about factoring in remittance fee. I don't have any comments on that. Bitcoin regulation in Africa lags behind the rest of the world. So, in green, we have legal. In red, restricted. So
red is illegal. Yellow is restricted.
Illegal, yeah. Illegal, restricted in China, and in the other parts of the world is still Bitcoins are legal. It's a good point. It's promising some sort of deal. Okay, that's actually the last slide. So, any comments on that? And maybe you could add something on last year's some kind of Bitcoin trends and.
There was actually not in last year, but I think also about 2 weeks ago, pretty big news that Bitstamp exchange got hacked, and they got, I think, 18,000 bitcoins stolen, about worth of $5 million US, and they were closed for about 5 days, and many people were already saying it's next Mt. Gox, and can say goodbye to your money if you had anything. But well, they moved. I think they moved their entire operation to somewhere in the U.S. and they reopened. It was actually after New Year, a little bit after New Year, something like 4th January or 5th January, and they closed because of this. The hacker cleared out their hot wallet, as I understand, but they honored all the deposits and basically paid everything back that was stolen. The customers weren't affected, and now they're back up and running.
Okay. Any more comments on last year and this year? Bright future?
I have a question, maybe somebody can explain. Who are the main buyers of Bitcoin? Who are the buyers?
Main buyers at this stage, I'm pretty sure, it's speculators.
Traders.
For example, it's like individual speculators, yes? Or it's
not only. I think that
from financial institutions.
For example, BTC China CEO last year springtime said that a lot of Chinese are keeping their bitcoins as accumulating resources for the money. They say that they not use bitcoins as transactions, some kind of value for traditional system, but they're accumulating they're holding them because in China there's a difficult situation with the local currency. I think that the valuations and other stuff, so wealthy Chinese are starting to prefer to keep the money in bitcoins. And in China there's a lot of resources actually for that. And there's probably also not only rich individuals, but also those exchanges who are offering services for individuals, and those probably are. They're not calling exchanges. I think they are not called Bitcoin banks, but yeah. So any more comments on Bitcoin? Remarks? How do you feel about this year?
Optimistic.
Optimistic. Exactly. Okay.
There should be this Winklevoss twins are building this what is called ETF or something like that. Well, a fund basically that you can trade like stocks basically for big players, and it should be out sometime. It should open sometime this year, quite soon actually. So that would have some positive impact. But well, we'll see. As I mentioned previously, nothing is predictable in Bitcoin world.
Okay, so now we have a small discussion about Bitcoin education. We need to write down several points about curriculum to propose to our Estonian colleagues. So that's a bullet point questions. So description of the problem, what is currently wrong with the field of cryptocurrencies and what should be changed, technical, technological, legal, educational, other aspects. Any comments on that? Edith, what you state?
Yeah,
So
not totally easy.
these calls. So, any ideas of existing problems to the Bitcoin world?
I think the biggest problem is still security, because many people who are not very tech savvy, they can get their bitcoins stolen. There are many reports because if you're your own bank, then you also don't have anybody.
How it's possible to store Bitcoin?
Easy. You store them on you store the private keys on your computer. And
so somebody should hack your PC.
Yeah, and the PC world is filled with viruses, as we know, and many are taking advantage of it because, in the past, a normal everyday computer user, there was not a big point in hacking his computer. What are you gonna get from that? Pictures of his cat or something like that. But if the person is using Bitcoin, then it actually becomes a very big target because there is instant monetary gain from hacking his computer. And especially if they're using, for example, Windows with unencrypted wallets. There have been many cases where for example, they're using TeamViewer and somebody hacks their TeamViewer account and just while they're asleep, just transfers the bitcoins away. And once they're gone. You can't get them back. So I think that's one of the biggest problems.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
Of course, there are security flaws and risks, but